The 2012 Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek, brought to you by Bridge. On a dramatic stage one on Monday, the field headed from Oudtshoorn to Calitzdorp. Louis Bresten Knipe at the third place Contigo 28E team took a hard fall on a rough descent. He and partner Craig Boys limped to the nearest tech zone, where the race medical team tended to him, and ultimately he was ruled out of the race with a stomach muscle injury amongst many cuts and abrasions. Defending champions Kevin Evans and David George built in their half-minute prologue lead to extend their advantage to 2 minutes and 7 seconds over Gabi Kombrink and Nico Bell. Stage number 2 of the Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek. A little bit of South African cycling history to be made today, because as they leave Calitzdorp, they head for the top of the Swartberg Pass, one of the iconic passes in these regions. And at the top of that, the first team home will receive a record 100,000 Rand. What a day for mountain biking. In the wake of Stage 2's B attack, there was an air of good humour and some relief in the campsite. Of those 30 riders who suffered multiple stings, most were back in camp and ready to ride today.
Going up the last sort of climb before the second water point, about 58 k's, I saw a few bees and I started going through them. As I started realizing what happened, I turned around and they started attacking me. It was like a black cloud in front of me. I couldn't see anymore. I tried to run down the hill to warn the guys that there are bees. Another guy, John, actually tried to help me, and then the bees also attacked him, and then eventually we just sort of fell down in the ground, didn't know what to do, freaked out completely. He stopped breathing. I tried to get him to calm down. Luckily for us, there was a nurse that was also riding, and she came up to us and she sort of got us just to calm down. By that point, all the bees has sort of stopped stinging us. Yeah, so it was pretty scary.
Cool overcast conditions for Stage 2, but hot racing expected, with 100,000 Rand up for grabs at the top of the Swartberg Pass. But how long will it take them?
Hopefully not too long, because Ollie promised me if we under an hour he'll buy me a beer at the other side, so as quick as possible.
Definitely under an hour, 45 minutes.
I'm guessing it's going to be a 35-40 minute pull for the top guys.
I think about 45 minutes.
About 45 minutes.
I haven't done it before, but I suspect about 50 minutes or so.
I reckon it's probably a 30-40 minute climb.
That for later in the day. On leaving Calitzdorp, the riders head into Beersenkorp Reserve, out towards the beautiful Groenfontein area in the foothills of the Swartberg. Limerick single track is the hors d'oeuvre for the day's main course, the 1,100 metre climb over 12 kilometres to the summit of the Swartberg Pass, where the pot of gold awaited the day's winners. Returning riders know how hot it can be in these valleys, so the cool conditions welcomed as they rolled out of Calitzdorp. High school pupils who'd helped set up the camp, sending them on their way. Neutral through the centre of the picturesque town, the riders getting a glimpse of the beautifully preserved sandstone architecture. They were soon on the dirt tracks and fueling up for what would be a test of strength and stamina. It wasn't long before the characteristic terrain of the Klein Karoo's trails appeared. Loose stones and small rocks on the first short rise. Friedrich and Reeder of Ergon 24R had a lead of 5 minutes and 48 seconds over Sonchin and Sterneman in the mixed. The Bizhub ladies stopped fourth and Williamson, laying the foundations for the defence of their title. They had an 8.5 minute lead already. The fracture in the race came early. Bierkus, Swanepoel, Evans, George, as well as Kombrink and Bell, with solo leader Timo Cooper tagged onto the back of the bunch. Race meat supply Klein Karoo International had 6 really strong men's teams in the race. Doing what they do best, descending. Oliver Minnick and Chris Volliter of Asran Cycling, with Future Life solo rider Petrus Malherber in their dust. Up front, Bierkus and Swanepoel, with a 2 minute and 7 second deficit to try and make up, were being aggressive and taking risks on the descents. Also in the bunch now, Nico Fitzenmeyer, Robert Sim, Craig Boys, erstwhile partner of Louis Bresten Knipe. Oliver Minnick clearly can't read. He was unaware, of course, that partner Chris Volliter was in trouble. Time being lost. The Dutch Nutswerk 1 team, Micha de Vries and Willem van Heert, the leaders in the veterans category. The descents were sketchy and caution the watchword. And there were plenty of puncture victims. Dirk Gerlemans and Yolandi de Troy amongst those who had to effect repairs to their tubeless tyres. The crossing of the Nels River necessitated portaging and wet feet. The lead group of 4 teams continued to be directed by the aggressive Ben-Mel Swanepoel and his partner Matthijs Bierkes of KangoMTB.com. The Heidelberg man Swanepoel on the front, Bierkes on the back. Robert Daniel Mommsen, 360 Life, Westphal Columbia, all in the mix on the fast, flat Groenfontein District Road. Off the road and the long gradual climb started to string out the field. 6-time former German champion Max Friedrich clearly enjoying himself in South Africa. As the track steepened, so the class acts came to the fore. George, the former top-class roadie on the front, Evans tucked into his wheel. Their attack was looking good. Bierkes and Swanepoel couldn't keep pace. Timo Cooper managed to stay with them. Nico Bell, the first man in blue, again looking super strong. Partner Combrink will have to bury himself today. The climb really was taking a toll, the gaps widening all the time. The Nutswerk 1 team was some way back. Evans and George are amongst the very best marathon stage racing teams in the world. They proved in finishing second in the Absa Cape Epic and winning the Old Mutual Joburg to Sea this year. They've ironed out their equipment choice issues and they work together with great efficiency. Both have solid road pedigrees as previous SA time trial champions, and they've set the benchmark for professionalism in team stage racing in South Africa. Bierkes, Swanepoel and Cooper now playing catch-up. Fitzenmeyer, world-class multi-sport athlete in his day, Robert Sim, they were plagued by punches on stage 1. And again on stage 2, Rob's racing Ralphs, apparently already quite worn, needed another repair. Word is they ordered a couple of new sets of tyres before the race, but Nico says Rob left them at home. More time lost. Bierkes and Swanepoel look to increase their advantage over that pair. 29er Hardtail's the choice of bike for them. Combrink and Bell toiling away to try and close them down, but they were making little headway. Ever cautious with a history of losing out on the big prize through mechanicals, crashes and equipment choice, this pair were a picture of conservative aggression on the treacherous descents. Kango MTB around 2 minutes back with Cooper still in tow. Javi Combrink on his own. That spells trouble for Westphal Columbia. Nico Bell, major problems. His hanger, the aluminium bracket that attaches the rear chainring and jockey wheel to the frame, had snapped and canted into his spokes, necessitating major repair work. He owns a bike shop in Nelspruit. He had the equipment and the skill to do the job. But this offered a chance for Sim and Fitzenmeyer to make up a place or two. The German is a fearless descender. Leading women's team Bridge, Bizhub, Williamson and Stopforth lead a group down. More loose shale made for another really tough climb halfway through the stage. Line choice always critical to maintain momentum, and even the best in the business forced to dismount. Every second counts for this pair, because behind them Bierkes and Swanepoel had them in their sights, less than 30 seconds behind. The race was on for that 100 grand prize, but even they had to portage up here. Exhausted, they were giving their all. Totally committed. Solo rider Hans Zurberg having a good day out. The Nutswerk 2 pair, Matthijs Eversdijk and Liewald Doornbos, digging deep on the steep ascent, the 2 young Dutchmen. Young Cape riders Craig Boys riding on his own now, and second place solo entrant Petrus Malherba. The Nedbank 360 Life pair, Evans and George, absolutely amazing pace. And Swanepoel and Bierkes showing off. A quick stop at the water point for Evans and George, and they're on their way. And No stopping for Bjerkes and Swanepoel because they had a job to do to try and hunt down the leading pair. It was a tall order because they were nearing the base of Swartberg Pass, the last bit of single track before the dirt road that leads them to the summit. The Swartberg Pass separates the Klein Karoo in the south from the Groot Karoo in the north. Construction under a Mr. Tussie began in 1881 but stopped after 6 kilometers. He went bankrupt. The remainder of the pass completed by pass builder extraordinaire Thomas Bain with the help of some 240 convicts from George and Neisner. Particularly crafted sandstone walls, it was completed in 1888. The pass rises 1,577 meters above sea level over the spectacular mountains. The gradient is 1 in 8 in places, and the endless curves and sharp corners wind for some 30 kilometers. Tricky by vehicle, it is without doubt one of the most demanding rides in the country, but one that feeds the soul as you wallow in the magnificence of the extraordinary beauty of the Cape Fold Mountains landscape. Bjerkes and Swanepoel were on the lower reaches, some 4 minutes now behind Evans and George. They'd lost copious amounts of time in the last 10 minutes, mainly due to the aggressive approach by George and Evans. The gusting southeaster had the mists and clouds swirling high above them as they set about the climb. In cycling terms, this is a hors categorie climb, or out of category climb. They don't come any tougher. And riders don't come much tougher than the 360 Life pair, both choosing to ride full suspension bikes, so putting them to great use. It kicks up extraordinarily steeply in the last kilometre and a half. Ben-Melt Swanepoel and Matthijs Bjerkes had almost given up the chase. They were leaking minutes on the climb as Evans and George closed in on the summit. An amazing performance by South Africa's premier mountain bike team. They had won the stage and pocketed 100,000 Rand, the biggest prize money stake ever on a stage race in any form of cycling in South Africa. A quite extraordinary performance.
Yeah, not the easiest way, I think, to try and win this stage, going from probably 25 or 30 k's out, and Dave was really strong today, so I just sucked wheel as much as I could. And sometimes it's a bad thing when you know how hard this pass actually is, and very different from riding it in the Hellenbach when you've got fresh legs to finishing a 75, 80k stage here.
Nearly 8 minutes back, emerging out of the mist, Ben-Melt Swanepoel and Matthijs Bjerkes of KangoMTB.com. They'd fought valiantly but ultimately lost the fight. Temperature down somewhere around about 6 degrees. They'd be delighted to finally get to the top and satisfied with their second place.
Matthijs is doing most of the work today, so yeah, he was just brilliant on the stage, and I was hanging on for most of the stage. So by the end, I think he'd done a bit too much, and yeah, we couldn't do more than what we did today.
They'd given their all. So had Timo Cooper, the 21-year-old from the Cape, who came home as the first solo finisher. A fantastic performance and a great ride by the Westphal Columbia pair, Javi Combrink and Nico Bell, after all the trials and tribulations they had leaked so much time early on. A pat on the back for Nadine Rieder from partner Max Friedrich. Nadine had a fall earlier on, they still won the mixed. And Ishan Stopforth and Catherine Williamson topping out the ladies today. With the racing over, the riders could roll down to the town of Prince Albert and enjoy the magnificence of the Swartberg Pass in all its glory. The beautiful Prince Albert playing host to the Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek campsite tonight. They'll rest well and race hard tomorrow. The Nedbank 360 Life pair now lead of 10 minutes and 39 seconds over KangoMTB.com. Westphal Columbia fought hard, now in third. Stopforth and Williamson 19.5 minutes ahead of Speedy and de Villiers, and Sternemann and Sonchen just 13 minutes down on Friedrich and Rieder. The riders will learn on stage 3 that the Karoo is not entirely flat. They'll ride through another iconic pass, Meyringspoort, before the beautiful village of De Rust plays welcoming host. The 2012 Bridge Cape Pioneer Trek, brought to you by Bridge.